Hello and welcome to Crucible of Worms for more dedicated legacy action. Today I am playing an Esper deck. I played one last week and it was one of the most popular videos I've ever done, so thank you to everyone who tuned in to watch that one. So I thought I'd explore a slightly different angle of the same deck and see if we can try another new card and get even more out of the deck. So the new card we're trying out today is Leyline Dowser. This is a 2-mana artifact with pay 1, tap, mill a card. You may put an instant or sorcery card milled this way into your hand. And you can tap an untap legendary creature you control to untap it. So we're not doing that part. We're literally just having this as a 2-mana thing that sits in play. We can pay 1 and tap it to mill us for 1, which maybe draws us a card. And because our deck is full of instants and sorceries, so we have all of these, we have all of these, we have all of these. That's a huge portion of our deck. So this should actually be finding us a lot of cards. And I'm excited to see how it plays out. There was I think there's 1 or 2 5-0 lists I've seen running this or trying it out. And I wanted just to go wild, try 4 of them and see how it fits. I'm quite excited. And if this is good, then it opens up some pretty interesting deck building possibilities moving forward that I'm certainly going to try out down the line. So the rest of this deck, we've got a small package of threats here. So we've got 3 Murktides, 3 Triumph, and then we've got the 4 Bowmasters. So a pretty slim creature package. These will just win the game eventually at some point. The recursive threat from Triumph of Katherine is really important because we can run out of threats without it. Then we have counter spells. So we've got Dazes, Force of Wills, and Spell Pierce. All pretty solid counter spells. And we can play a sort of tempo game with like 2-mana Triumph of Katherine and Orcish Bowmasters. So Dazes are pretty nice there. We've got a bunch of removals. So we've got Prismatic Endings, Swords to Plowshares, and Pest Control, which has more than impressed me. The card has been excellent so far. And then we've just got cantrips, so Ponders, Brainstorms, Lorien Revealed, and that's it. Relatively simple. We've got a few spicy lands. We have an Undercity Sewers and a Mystic Sanctuary. We have an island and a plains, but no swamp. We have triple Tundra, and we have 3 black sources, including the Undercity Sewers I mentioned earlier. And yeah, that's pretty much it. We also get to smash 4 Wastelands in here, which can answer some problem permanents like an Urza Saga. Obviously, we have Pest Control for that as well, but why not have more things to answer really scary permanents? Quick look at the sideboard, more Pest Controls. I think you do want to have 4 of these if you have access to that sort of deck. So we've got the colours for it, so we should be running 4 in 75, I think. So there we are. We've got Serenity to blow up some artifacts and enchantments. We've got a little bit of Graveyard Hit and Spellbomb, which also cantrips. Doorkeeper Thrull, things like Goblins can get shut down a little bit by this, as well as Thassa's Oracle out of combo decks. Another bit of removal in Prismatic Ending. We've got Lavinia for some of the Storm decks, some Counter Magic and Force of Negation, and some Hydroblast again for stuff like Goblins, and then a little bit more removal in the Snuff Out. I kind of feel like I want a Narset here, but the deck is kind of trying to play as many things that will trigger off Leyline Dowser, and we're here to play the new card, right? So let's just play the new card. I don't think I have to say anything more about this deck. I'm excited. Hopefully it won't be as long to record as the last one, which was about 4 hours last time I played this Esper control deck. Hopefully we can get it down a bit quicker with the power of Leyline Dowser. So remember to like and subscribe and buckle up. Let's play some Esper. Alright, we have no lands on our opener, so we're going to send this one back. We've got some removal. We've got access to both basics. I'll keep this. Do we just get rid of this force and hope we're playing a creature matchup? This force on its own is not doing anything. Alright, let's get rid of that. Maybe I'll regret that later, but we will find out. I will play this Flooded Strand. We can go and fetch a Tundra or something if we need to. Because we have the other basic, we're incentivized to get both basics to play on. Opponent is a fan of the channel. Wonder if they saw the Esper deck the other day. And we might be in a Grindy Mirror, perhaps. I hope this creature removal is going to get there. Like, the format is quite creature heavy at the moment. Planeswalkers and stuff don't really cut it like they once did. So people's threats tend to be creature-based. Because creatures are just so darn good these days. Okay. Right, we'll play this out. So we could have got a Surveil land there of the Undercity Sewers, but I'm not sure exactly what we're looking for. That's a Prismatic Vista. Alright, we're going to see something like a Narset here. A Teferi. That's a tough one. So we could play the Orcish Bowmasters, which kind of forces this to go up. Let's try that. So we'll get the Underground Sea to do that. Let's fire in this Bowmasters. This could give our opponent a little bit of pause for thought. I was just saying that people aren't making a lot of Planeswalkers these days, but Teferi is still good. It's not a win condition, it's just a really potent way of controlling the game. So they have to plus their Teferi because we played the Bowmasters out. Force of Will, not ideal. Attack all creatures at the Teferi here. We don't have 3 different colours due to our own Wasteland. Kind of jamming us up. So are we doing a Wasteland this turn? I think so. We need to be a bit quicker on making decisions because this could be a very grindy, long matchup. So now if they minus a Teferi, it will get put in the graveyard because it will lose all its loyalty. Right, they've got another Meticulous Archive, sure. I just plus the Teferi. Lorien Revealed. That is the sort of thing I want here. So let's attack Teferi with all of our creatures. This is buying them quite a lot of time. Right, let's Island Cycle. This sort of deck shouldn't be playing Stifles, really. So we could go and get another white source, I think is the sensible thing here, given all these white spells in our hand. Now we want to get islands in play. Not that we have any lands that aren't islands at this point, it's just the plains, isn't it? We can F6 through our opponent's turn because they have a Teferi. We can't even pretend to hold anything up. And these extra seconds that we get might prove very useful. Okay, I suppose we're going to attack the Teferi. Force of Will, not doing a lot of good right now. An instant speed Supreme Verdict that we don't get to respond to. Pretty nice. I think I'm more inclined... So we could just Prismatic Ending this now and get it out of the way. I think that's probably worth doing, actually. So white, blue, black. Let's see if we can just get rid of this little guy. This will give our pond... Okay. I was going to say this will give our Ponder use as a blue card for Force of Will. We can try the same thing again next turn. We got a 2-for-1 exchange there. White, blue, black. Let's go again. Like we could have brainstormed or pondered to try and find a land first. But I think we just need to try and get this. This is going to be a hard cast Force of Will. Alright. So our opponent is higher on the control spectrum than we are. We have a sort of tempo game plan that we can execute sometimes. But our opponent is fully into just straight up blue-white control. Good stuff. Okay, yeah, just gas right back up. Okay. I think this game is mostly over. Another useless card. Let's cast this Ponder. Any order. Shuffle. A Leyline Dowser. That is kind of what I'm here for. I think we're supposed to fire off a Brainstorm first, though. We've got a few clunkers in our hand here. We put these two back. Crack this out. Go and get probably another Tundra here. Fire off this Ponder. Our opponent's deck quite likely has some Narsets in. Okay, we don't want 2 of these. We do want the Murktide, but we don't want to have to draw through these other bad cards. So I think we're supposed to go any order and shuffle. Like, ugh, that's a bad card too. Right, is our opponent doing anything here? A rest in peace. Understood. I believe our opponent is playing Helm of Obedience combo in their deck, and possibly Energy Field. Well, well, well. If it isn't a really bad card. Let's fire this off. Does this work through the rest in peace? We'll definitely take this anyway, because it's more cards for future brainstorms. But we've got an engine online. Oh, okay, we've lost it anyway. Okay, we have one go with it. Yeah, just... I wasn't 100% sure it would work, but it should do because it's templated the same way as Guide. Are we beating this? I think we can just go to the next game here. It's going to take ages to lose, and it's not really worth our time. So, what is the plan here? I don't mind an answer for a Planeswalker here. I don't mind Lavinia to shut off their free spells. Do I want Force of Negations? Potentially. Am I convinced? How convinced am I about Daze is a better question. Our opponent's going to have a lot of mana and they're going to play around it quite effectively. So if we just get some better things here. Pest Control. I don't know what my opponent's win conditions are necessarily going to be. I think I'd rather have one of these than a Pest Control. The other one we can always cycle. Serenity, not great with our own Leyline Dowser though. So we need to keep that in mind too. We could play something like Doorkeeper Thrull just as a threat, and I use that term very loosely, but it's bad with our own Bowmasters. Our opponent's not really going to have many creatures. Our opponent's not going to care about the graveyard. They're running Rest in Peace in the main deck. We have all these plows as well that aren't really doing us much good. Yeah, it just feels pretty horrible as a matchup. Now, let's take out a couple of plows for a couple of days. And let's take out Pest Control. Now, if they have Triumphs, we're going to want to keep these plows in. So maybe 3 plows is acceptable. Right, let's try it like this. Our opponent is kind of a bit of a bigger deck than us, and they have some powerful haymakers like Narset and Teferi that we don't have to lean on. Now, our card advantage engine in Leyline Dowser doesn't care about the draw a card clause because we put it into our hand rather than draw it. Well, I don't like it, but it does have some relatively important tools. We keep this, and we're probably playing on the Wasteland and cycling rather than trying to get cute with this Mystic Sanctuary. We might need the rebuy of an important card with that later on. I think we'll cycle this now, just before any shenanigans can happen. White is our more important colour, but black is Bowmaster's colour, which is the only black spell we're playing. I think we just have to get Tundra and not mess around there. Our opponent could have Back to Basics in their deck, which is another reason we brought in the Serenity. A Brainstorm, interesting. Just a turn 1 Brainstorm. So they've seen Orcish Bowmasters. This is a get your Brainstorm down before your opponent has a Bowmasters, which is a heads up play, and goes to show how much the format has been changed by Bowmasters. People have to think a bit more about their Brainstorms in terms of when they're casting them. Okay, let's have a Tundra. I think I will cast this Ponder. I would like to make some land drops. If we draw a land this turn, draw a land next turn, we can go and get play the Dowser and get the Force of Negation. No, because we have to fetch for that, won't we? Right, so I think we're going to put Delta, Strand, Force. And this way we've got double Force effect. The next turn we can just play this Dowser and start drawing some cards. Hopefully protecting ourselves from anything spooky like Planeswalkers or whatever. Narset and Teferi are both going to be pretty terrifying for us to face down. We have to get them on the way down. We don't have the creatures to pressure them, really. Ponder, sure. We are a couple of minutes behind on clock as well. Let's go and get this. I think I might just get this basic island now. I'm a little bit worried about Back to Basics. Let's try the Dowser. We can Daze this, but they will have one to pay if they're going to have a hard Force effect. So like a Spell Pierce, we can probably Daze to pierce through. Alright, we got 2 for 1 with it. That's acceptable. If we'd have tapped differently, we could have pondered afterwards. That would have made more sense. Alright, a mountain. Not surprised to see one of those. Fourth Eorlingus is the sort of thing I'm expecting here. Rest in Peace. I don't think this is one I want to waste any resources on. Oh, we can beat this. Alright, let's try a Ponder. Otherwise we can just hold up hard cast. Alright, I like this a lot. So put this on the bottom. Then the Dowser. And the Bowmasters. So we draw the Bowmasters for later on. And we have the Tundra. We shouldn't have drawn the Bowmasters. We should have put it the other way around. But I don't think our brain's going to have anything that stops us from casting a card from our hand. Narset. They're not going to take anything away from our hand with like discard. They haven't shown us that colour. Let's just try a hard cast Force of Negation here. I'm expecting Red Elemental Blast. There is the Pyroblast. So now we can Daze on this. And we get a nice exchange on that one. Excellent. So now we have to choose if we're holding up Force of Negation or playing the Dowser. If we hold up the Force, then next turn we can play the Dowser and the Force. Or we can Wasteland them off of this white source. We don't really have anything going. Maybe this is a turn to press our advantage. And yeah, I think this is the turn to press our advantage now I think about it. Play the Dowser. They should be able to interact with this. If we find a blue card. Yes, okay, so now we have the Force up. Alright, it's dowsing time. We have 2 pieces of counter magic. I left the Tundra up there in case we drew a Ponder. A Prismatic Ending. I think it's worth preserving our card advantage engine here. Alright, let's draw some more cards. So we have this Mystic Sanctuary, so we can hold up Hardcast Force of Will, and then pop the Leyline Dowser if nothing else happens. Alright, we're going to see it do its thing. Will it be good enough is the real question. Land from our opponent. In the end step, we can attempt to draw a free card. That Spell Pierce. We love finding that Spell Pierce. It's always about. At some point, we'll get some black mana and be able to do some things. I will take a Brainstorm, please. This is a threat, so I'm interested in that. I guess we're just going to put this back and probably the Wasteland for now. Deploy this for white-blue. So we want to use our Wasteland here to make our Spell Pierce better. We know the Dowser won't work, but we can mill that Wasteland off the top of our deck. So this isn't just draw a card. Like if it's not the thing that you want and you know it's on top, you can use it as like a surveil effect. They know we have this Spell Pierce though. Doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be any easier to play around. Given our opponent's just played another land that we can Wasteland, we will take the Wasteland off top. So we have Hardcast Force of Will. I think that is better than just Wastelanding them straight away here. And the Bowmasters is our top card. We decide if we want that or not at the end step. It is the sort of thing that's going to be good in this matchup at some point. Supreme Verdict. I guess Wasteland would have stopped that, wouldn't it? Okay. So we don't really want this Bowmasters on top anymore, so we're going to mill it into the graveyard. Plains. Sure. Take this out. We hold up the Force of Will and pop the Leyline Dowser at end step. A Brainstorm. I don't think that's our fight here. Right, let's have a look under the Dowser. Yes, please. The value. It's so good. Let's cast this Ponder. Triumph of St. Katherine, you say? I am interested in that one. So we want to put that 2 down. We will want to get rid of this Rest in Peace, actually. So if we put the Brainstorm on the bottom, then the Triumph, and the ending, no, we shouldn't have done it that way around. We'll get rid of this now, though. Because that's the thing that will stop our Triumph of St. Katherine being able to do anything. So if we just stack the Brainstorm on top, we could have drawn the card there instead. So let's get our friend here. We know the top card is a Brainstorm. Now ploughing our friend. So note this. I think the Spell Pierce has probably run its course here. We're about to put a blue card into our hand. So we don't know what the top card of our library is. We don't really want to fire off this Brainstorm while it's our blue card. We just want to ride the card advantage of the Dowser whilst being down with our massive yacht. A Teferi. I think we have to say no to Teferi. Like, we've had 5 extra cards because of the Dowser here. We can go and get our Surveil land now. Get that tiny bit of value. I think we've drawn 4 or 5 cards with the Dowser. Rest in peace. Would I rather this card be in our graveyard? Yes, is the answer to that one. It means Murktide is going to be easier to cast. And Orcish Bowmasters. Sure, I'll have that one. So Rest in Peace means if the Triumph dies to anything like a Supreme Verdict, it will go away forever because it never goes into the graveyard. Alright, let's try and Douse again. Flooded Strand. Alright, didn't want to draw that anyway. So now we have a Bowmasters if they draw a cantrip. A Plow. Sure, it's annoying. They have no other cards, so we're just going to dump this out now. It's a respectable clock given our opponent's life total. Let's go Dowsing. We do it first in case we draw a cantrip, and then we can sort of snowball our turn a bit more. Khan the Great Creator. Wasn't expecting one of those. What fresh hell is this going to be? Let's find out. Helm of Obedience. Yeah, that would do it, wouldn't it? Alright, so our Leyline Dowser isn't going to give us a free card this turn. Force of Will is certainly not an unhelpful one. I think we still have to go at Khan rather than pressuring their life total here. Maybe that's a mistake. But next time we can finish this off. Now, we did draw the Force. Can't say I'm unhappy about that. They didn't leave up the mountain for Red Blast. So we know they don't have a Red Blast. They're giving us a Dowser to attack with. Good attacks. Attack Khan with these two. And we'll attack them with this one. We could wait and get the card out of it, but we may as well put our opponent on lethal next turn. Wait, no, we're still one shy actually, aren't we? I still think that's fine. We're pretty close to hard casting this 3-3. A Supreme Verdict. Understood. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So a land does give us a very hard cast Murktide Regent. A Dowser. Let's get another Dowser going. Alright. Meticulous Archive. They milled over the card. Land for a 7/7? No, but we do have a thing we get to play here. Let's Douse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That seems like a pretty sensible number. We have lethal. We do also have the Force of Will that we can pitch a Murktide to. Friend. A Brainstorm. That's okay. We fight over what comes out of the Brainstorm. Lorien Revealed. We're going to see another Brainstorm. We are. Again, I still don't think we fight because there's a slight possibility that maybe the last card in hand is like a Plow and they're just trying to upgrade it into something better. Because Plow can answer the Bowmasters, but it's still going to leave us with a 2-turn clock. Because we'll get the Orc Army. A Force of Will, you say? Let's activate the Dowser first. Let's just try and force through this win now. There we go. Do I want to do anything differently? I don't think so. And we've got some pretty good tools at our disposal. They really didn't show us anything for these Plows, though. Maybe we should just be completely off of them. Maybe these Dazes aren't so bad. And Pest Control cycles. That's kind of my logic there. It gets found by... We want lots of stuff that's good with Leyline Dowser. This is a 2-mana draw 1 that maybe has some text because our opponent could be playing something like Theorlingus. Because of that, I think maybe 2 of them might be better. They've shown us red. I wouldn't be surprised to see a Theorlingus in there, but it's not worth bringing the Hydroblasts. But again, the Pest Control, you can just cycle it. It's so good. Double Wasteland. If the Wastelands are going to be good, this hand is going to be great. We have a thing to stop the first scary thing that they have. I would have liked some cantrips and things, but you can't have everything. An Orcish Bowmasters is certainly one of the better cards in our deck. So we can play the Bowmasters in their turn and have Force of Negation to protect it on the stack. That's very tasty. I think our opponent knows we drew a Triumph there because of the pause. There's a Tundra. A Rest in Peace. That's not really the thing we're fighting over here. It definitely has text against us because of the Murktides and the Mystic Sanctuary. But I can live without it. Let's see about this Bowmasters and just start applying pressure. We do have to win the game at some point. A Leyline Dowser. I do like the Leyline Dowser. But I also like holding up 2 pieces of interaction for our opponent. So I think that's what I'm going to do here. And then next turn we can... are we supposed to Wasteland here to stop Supreme Verdict? No, I think if they're Supreme Verdicting, then we get to just play the Dowser on empty board. Or do they miss a land? Oh, okay. I think our opponent can work out what's about to happen here. Let's fire this off. Oh, Wasteland, such a good Magic the Gathering card. Just perfectly designed. Can't argue with that. One of my lands for one of yours. But only one that is non-basic. Just absolute chef's kiss of design there on Wasteland. Keeps people honest. Our opponent says they misclicked, so they didn't get to tap it for mana. Alright. This makes our days much better if they have less land. I'm going to fire off a Brainstorm here. I want to move some cards around. Try and find another land drop. There's a pretty good red Elemental Blast target. Yeah, they do have it as well. That is awkward. We're just getting the dowsing in here. I think given how this turn has gone, we're going to put the dowsing in. Or the Dowser, even. A Ponder. I don't think we're fighting over the Ponder. We might unlock our opponent's hand a little bit. Give them some white mana. But we do get a Bowmaster trigger. Our opponent just didn't find anything there. So the Leyline Dowser was excellent. We drew so many cards from it, and even if you're not drawing the card, it throws something that's bad. Like, you can lose one of your creatures, but for the most part, you're just going to be either drawing a card or getting a land you don't want off the top of your deck, which is really good value. Let's go to round 2. Yeah, this one is okay. We can keep this. Got Bowmasters. We've got a nice Pest Control to clean some stuff out if we need removal. We've got Counter Magic if we need it. We've got access to a 3rd land. Wasteland for like really spooky things like Saga. I'm okay with this one. Play this one out and pass. I don't really want to be playing on basics for this game. An Ether Vial. Okay, we can blow that up if we want to. Island Ether Vial. Are we seeing honest to God Merfolk? That's been a hot minute since I played against Merfolk. Right, so I think we'll go and get a Tundra here. And then we'll Island Cycle for Underground Sea. Another thing I also like about Pest Control as a design is the fact that it's a sorcery. It's a very powerful effect for what it does, but the time restriction is a nice little balance to it. Right, we're going to play this one out. We're going to see if we can sweep up more than one thing with the Pest Control, as well as playing around Daze, which could be a card our opponent is packing. Unsurprisingly, they are going to put a counter on their Ether Vial. What are we going to see? No second land. So our opponent's hand must be full of some amount of gas, is what you're telling me. I am okay to play this one out. I can fight over it if I want to. Our opponent's probably not going to be drawing that many cards if they're a Merfolk deck. A Brainstorm. I don't think this is what I'm fighting over. I could. No, I think we're going to use the Daze to protect our Pest Control rather than snagging a Brainstorm here. So we get to play Pest Control. It will kill our 1/1, but we'll still have a Bowmasters in play. Get ping off. Attack. Still want to try and trade my Bowmaster in for whatever comes out of this. I think so. They've shown us Brainstorm, which isn't something I was expecting to see from their deck. Right, let's do some Pest Control. Goodbye Ether Vial, goodbye Orc Army. You can put in a creature if you want, but it will die to the Pest Control just the same. And we can Daze to protect this, as we're about to do. We'll bounce our Tundra to protect it from potential Wastelands. We pitched a Meddling Mage. Okay, maybe we're on humans? Or just Esper Vial? Like, they do have a Yorion, I suppose. That would make more sense. Another one. Well, they are really desperate for this to not resolve. I think that means we are making sure it does resolve. Okay. We also have a Wasteland set up for their next play. We know that they're playing more than one colour. I have to imagine they are just Esper Yorion. Don't know why my brain went straight to Merfolk. Let's attack with our Bowmasters. A Plow. Not a surprise to see this one. I'll take out their Caracas because it's there. Let's have a Ponder. I don't really want these. I think we're going to go any order and shuffle. Another Ponder. That's okay to cast here before our opponent has some scary things. Okay, so we would like this Daze when our opponent has no lands, and we'd like this Bowmaster. So our opponent probably has Bowmaster in their deck. I am assuming that they are 3-colour Vial rather than just blue-white. That's a relatively safe assumption to make. Let's pass. A very conspicuous Orcish Bowmasters amount of mana in play on our side. I will pounce on something like a Brainstorm. Some extra value here. But I think this Bowmaster killing one of their guys is going to be pretty reasonable too. I don't think we're just firing this off. Mystic Sanctuary. Let's play that tapped and pass. We can bounce it with a Daze to recur. Good cards. But we need to have another island before we can think about that. Alright, our opponent's certainly got some lands. It's a funny old game, this one. We're keeping pretty close clockwise. A Baleful Strix. I would very much like to Bowmasters this one now. Leaving up the white for the plow. So we ping this one down. They draw a card. We ping, get another Bowmaster. Alright, is our opponent about to play a Bowmaster of their very own? Well, he's going to plow our guy. Yeah, that's acceptable to me. We're still left with something. Not the quickest clock I've ever seen, but we'll take it for now. Let's try and find another threat. Okay, these are both pretty good threats. I think I would like this Murktide Regent this turn. So we'll put this, then the Bowmasters for next turn. We can use that as removal potentially. And the Murktide. Let's attack with this, see if it draws out any sort of removal spell potentially. Very unlikely, but could prompt a Bowmaster or something. And then we just get to make a large Murktide. Blue, blue. Get rid of 2 Ponders. I think if we're putting something on top, we're more likely to want the Lorien Revealed, so we'll leave that in there. Pest Control, pretty good. I don't think we want the Daze later. Is it the Pest Control or is it the Force that we would be more inclined to want? I think maybe the Force is something we can just lock things up with later, so we'll get rid of the Pest Control. So we've got an 8-8, so it's a 2-turn clock. Can be Plow, but they've just burnt a Plow on a Bowmaster. And they also burnt one earlier as well. And they're a 75 card deck. A Brainstorm. Okay, we'll allow that one. So we're kind of seeing the advantage of our deck being so low to the ground. We only have 3 lands, but we're able to basically deploy everything in our deck. A Spell Seeker. They can search their library for Swords to Plowshares. Yep. Unless they've got something spicier. Just the Swords to Plowshares. We could Daze to try and stop them having this fetch for later, but honestly, it doesn't really matter. We're just going to get our Bowmasters, ping this down, bash for 2. We'll leave up our white source. Ping you down. 2. We are very, very close on clock. There's like a second or 2 in it at the moment. We'd like to try and change that around if possible. Got 4 turns of clock. Hopefully we can add to that before our opponent draws out. They didn't put Yor into hand, which is interesting. I'm not sure why they're not doing that. That probably means they have a hard cast Force. And that would be a card that you would have with 5 mana and not actually cast. No? Solitude? It is a Solitude. Okay. Let's plow this. So we can't block our Bowmasters. This Daze is not really getting the work done for us right now. Yep, now they're putting the Yor into hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They have plenty of mana. I guess we might be able to get some work done with our... This is their second white source, which is kind of relevant. We'll take that out. Are we getting plowed here? Or are they just floating to make us think about it? So this means our Daze might actually do something this game. If they just slam a Yorion and they don't have a land. If they do have a land, then we can just plow the Yorion. Right, they've got a land. We can see a Bird Serpent. We are 1 card in our opponent's hand. If it's Spell Pierce, we can certainly play around that. Get this out of here. The Bowmasters is pretty good. We can try and use it as removal or prey upon a cantrip. Right, we have a clock in place. We don't actually need to play this Bowmasters. I think it's better held in hand right now. Wasteland. This gets us closer to hard casting a Triumph, but if we draw a Triumph, we're just going to cast it off of the Miracle trigger anyway. So I think we Wasteland to make Solitude a thing that they can't, that we might be able to Daze. We're just going to keep attacking their white sources, I think. Alright, they're cycling Lorien Revealed. That means they're not casting a Lorien Revealed, which is pretty good news, actually. I don't know why they didn't just cast that. I do have 5 mana. I suppose we have the Orcish Bowmasters in play. That's probably what. Well done, Brain. You caught up with everyone else who's watching who caught that ages ago. Sure. Okay. Yes, I would like a Triumph of St. Katherine, please. The big Mama Jamma. A hard cast Solitude would be annoying for us, but they don't have one. Because you definitely snap it off on the Triumph and then block our Troll. Not Troll, Bowmasters. We don't have Trolls in this deck. Plains. So our opponents started off the game mana screwed, and now they're flooded. What a time to be alive. Alright. Send in the clowns. This is nearly half of our opponent's life total. With this Bowmaster, we can kill our opponent next turn. Flooded Strand. Sure. I don't think we need to play this Bowmaster right now. Let's see if our opponent reacts to either of these coming in. We'll play out my land, helps us play around any sort of soft permission. I don't think our opponent's got much of that, but it's possible. So turn off their fetch land. Okay, we can just attack next turn. We don't need to show them as other Bowmasters. Alright, we got there. Esper Vial. I would like to have... Snuff Out does work against a bunch of their things. Prismatic Ending is very good here. Doorkeeper Thrull is excellent. So I'd very much like to have that. Pest Control is not at its best, if I'm being honest. I quite like Lavinia. It stops their forces, but they're probably boarding out some amount of forces, aren't they, really? What do I not like? I don't like Daze on the draw. That's a pretty straightforward exchange. Do we want more removal for Vial? Like Pest Control, it does everything, right? It's so good. Maybe this isn't a Spell Pierce game. We just get another Pest Control in. Have 3 of those. We can always cycle it at the end of the day. Nihil Spellbomb is not without text. But they're mainly going to be just like doing creature stuff rather than messing around with the graveyard. Like they sometimes have stuff that tinkers around in the graveyard a little bit, but that's not their main game plan. And then we just go in like this. Doorkeeper Thrull is going to be an absolute hammer in this matchup. Speaking of hammers in the matchup, we will keep this. We do have to decide what colour we're getting if we don't draw another land, though. Now we don't have to do that. So we can just get Tundra off of this strand. I wouldn't mind a blue card. Not a blue card. Let's play this. And we'll pass. So these are both kind of like gotcha cards where we can mess with what our opponent's up to. I'm not expecting Stifle from our opponent. Would I like to cycle this Pest Control? I think I would. You got Bowmasters? This is relatively tempting if they do. Okay, decided against it. A Tundra, that's excellent because that allows us to then play this Ponder and hold up both of our things. Or we could have this as a blue card for Force of Will. Is that better here? I think it is. Our opponent clearly knows we have a cantrip in hand though. And it's quite easy to deduce that it's a Ponder because we played a land first. Which is something you're more likely to do with a Ponder than Brainstorm. Field of Ruin. Right. Just trying to work out, are we using these as like counterspell type effects? I guess we kind of are. Now we have another blue card. We can Ponder first. Bury this. I'll take this Murktide. I'll play out this land. And I'll pass. They might, because we've kept the cards on top, they might choose to Field of Ruin now and shuffle for us. There's a Flooded Strand. A Basic Plains. Feels like we're getting Field of Ruined. And they probably take out our Underground Sea here. That's going to shut off our Snuff Out as well. I'll get this island for now. Given the fact that we don't have a swamp, I think I want to play this Bowmasters. Not sure when we're going to be able to cast it. Otherwise, if you've got something in play, we are proactively stopping cantrips. Or not stopping them, but putting a cost to them. See some sort of back to basics jam here. Nope, just a friendly pass. This feels like a Solitude coming our way. Let's attack. An Orcish Bowmasters, you say? Can we keep our Doorkeeper Thrull? I would like to plow our Doorkeeper Thrull. I think Doorkeeper Thrull is pretty clutch in this matchup. So I'm going to protect it. You can have a guy. They can trade for Bowmaster here. If that's what they want to do. They do not. That is interesting. Okay, so let's go and... they shouldn't be running Supreme Verdict in their creature deck, should they? That would be a very weird thing to do. Let's go blue. Blue and get a massive boy. And now we have access to 7 power in the air, which is a 2-turn clock. We've got Snuff Out as well, if they play a white creature. Solitude is not really going to work into our Doorkeeper Thrull either, which is like the scariest card they can have. The Reality Chip. Okay. If they go to equip this, we can snuff it out. That's a pretty strong tempo play for us. Caracas. That means they're probably not equipping the chip because you do it first. Alright, let's just snuff this out now. We have all of the answers. I think given that we've just drawn another one of these, let's just get rid of this guy. Let's nail one of their lands here and just crash for a bunch. We're kind of out of resources, but our opponent is going to be at a pretty low life total with a lot of creatures in play under our control, as well as 2 permanents to lock out 2 of the things their deck does. So they can't draw extra cards without putting themselves in some serious danger, and they just don't have any come into play effects, which their whole deck is built around. What flash threat could they have here? It's just the Solitude. Final Showdown. Okay, this is the new one. Destroy all creatures. That's pretty solid. That has certainly changed the dynamics of this game. Yikes. Okay. So we played out a land so we can represent Force of Will here. Was not expecting a Wrath from a creature deck, but I guess this is a Wrath that can also protect your creatures. So that's pretty solid. We're going to lose our Underground Sea here. Feels like we're about to. We're not losing total number of lands here, though. Yeah, Final Showdown makes sense. It's a thing you can get with Spellseeker that can get you out of a tight spot or just give you that extra layer of protection. Creature you control, it gains indestructible until end of turn. All creatures lose all abilities until end of turn, or destroy all creatures. Yeah, it's pretty decent. And now they have the big noodle bird. Our opponent has turned the corner on this one. We need to have a very good turn here. Ponder is how good turns start. They could Bowmaster in response. That'd be a pretty strong one. A Doorkeeper Thrull. This Force of Will is probably not what we want, so I think we put that down. Then we have the Triumph. Then we have the Doorkeeper. So we play Doorkeeper this time, and then we have the Triumph for next turn. I think they're just going to play out the Yorion. But maybe we can run this as a counterspell. A Cauldra. Okay. We're just going to play this out now. This enters with, or is it whenever this... What is it as it enters? Alright, yes. Okay, it does actually stop this. Good. So Living Weapon is a trigger. So we absolutely wreck them there. Lovely. And now we have our own threat. That will kill them next turn. We can remove some amount of blockers. But not... Well, we can remove one blocker. But we don't know if our Prismatic Ending for 2 is going to be able to do that. Alright, so there is the bird. We knew that was coming. This is probably just going to be chump blocking. And there's the Force of Will that we knew about. This gives us an extra layer of protection just so we can keep bashing with our Triumph. There we go. And then we have a Force of Will for anything that Prismatic Ending can't deal with. Marsh Flats, 2 cards in our opponent's hand. We still have a Mystic Sanctuary, so I will play this out. Do I think our opponent's got any flyers with Flash? So we've still got the Force of Will. And something does happen to our Triumph that we can't deal with. Is it that silly massive spell again? So this can block. Our opponent's got 1 card in hand. Am I okay with our opponent blocking here and gaining 3? I think so. Does change the maths a little bit. But the fetch lands that they have. So we still have the kill next turn. Like, I think we could have gone for it then, but if they had a plow, then they plow the Doorkeeper Thrull in response. They can plow the Thrull or do something else afterwards. I just felt the safest way was just to take the free kill rather than expending a card in it. We just have this and the inevitability going. But our deck full of removal is pretty good against a creature deck as it turns out. Alright, 2-0. Let's go to round 3. Okay, I like this one. We'll keep... I think I'll take my Undercity Sewers on turn 1. Just get that free value. Ooh, yes please. Been enjoying the Dowser so far, so let's see if we can keep dowsing some ley lines. Scalding Tarn. And no play. That could represent a whole host of different decks. Let's play this one out. And we can go and cycle this Lorien Revealed. We want to play the Dowser with mana up so that we can activate it and at least try and get some value if there's going to be some kind of Prismatic Ending or Witherbloom command or whatever. Right, there is an island. Do I think our opponent has a Stifle over there? It's not impossible. Alright, so we're just in. I think we'll get a Tundra here. Just have good mana. Let's play this. Let's play Leyline Dowser. We've got a couple of Dazes to back this up if we need to. I'd rather not just set ourselves back to the Stone Age land-wise, though. I think our opponent is reading this one. I don't blame them. I don't think Leyline Dowser is even a card that I saw when I was looking through the spoiler. We got 2 for 1 out of it. That's acceptable. We fire 2 Dazes. That doesn't achieve anything other than setting us back a whole bunch. We're going to see something like a Orcish Bowmasters, perhaps. Seek the Beast. Alright, this is pretty good thing to Daze. And we bounce this so we get that extra value off of it, because this is going to be a matchup about value by the looks of things. Alright, getting to hit that is pretty solid. So I think we're just looking at like a blue-red Delver deck. The blue-red that splashes the questing beast off like 1 drop. But you're mainly doing it, sorry, questing druid. But you're mainly doing it just for the front side, the Seek the Beast. Okay, you can hit our Tundra if you want. It's not the end of the world. I'll just play out Flooded Strand, that's fine. We've got access to 2 plows against a deck that is going to win with creature damage. I don't believe our opponent's playing Bowmasters. You rarely see the 4-colour Delver builds anymore. A Dragon's Rage Channeler. Sure. So we can clean this up with an ending and save plows for bigger creatures. That appeals to me a little bit more. 3 cards in our opponent's hand. Another Leyline Dowser. Right, let's do some surveilling. Do we want this? I think we want it in our deck still. So we're going to leave it in there, but just shuffle it away. And we're going to go get a Tundra. And we're going to go get another Tundra. I'm going to try and Prismatic Ending that one. Alright. So they could play a Big Daddy Murktide, but it's not going to be very big. Alright, and now we can try and get our Leyline Dowser to run away with the game. Oh, okay. Yes, I will just have this Triumph of St. Katherine, please. That is a large customer. Oh, we're just in, are we? Okay. Yeah, I'll take my 2 mana 5/5 lifelinks against the red removal deck. Unholy Heat is and Brazen Borrow are the 2 ways that they're going to be able to deal with this. But we should just outclass their creatures. We already have the answer for Murktide, which is anything that can tussle with this, but it can't even tussle with it with the amount of things in their graveyard. I think they're really relying on this questing druid, and we correctly prioritize which things to counterspell. Like, we got our 2 for 1 with the Dowser. The whole point of this card is to generate card advantage, and it did that already. We got 2 for 1. We shouldn't be... This isn't the matchup where we just need to have this to sit and play to beat what our opponent's doing. If it was a control matchup, maybe this is the thing we try and make sure it happens. But Unholy Heat. Okay. Gonna see another one. And a lightning bolt. Okay. Again, I'm happy to get these 2 for 1s. This shuffles into the top 7 cards. We can draw it again soon. It makes the Dowser a little bit awkward, because we might mill our Triumph. But if we're drawing extra cards, then it doesn't really matter. We're just going to be so far ahead. Did you get another 2 for 1? You got a Force on this one? We're not going to fire it off just yet. In response to an opponent's spell, we can fire this off and see if we find a Force or whatever. It can mill our Triumph, but we've got another 2 in the deck still. We've got other threats like Murktide, which is going to be a hard thing for our opponent to answer. Yep, Murktide is not a problem. We have 2 plows in hand. We're going to do it on our turn so we can play around their Daze if they have one. Right, let's mill a card. What do we hit? A plow. Beautiful. Dowser's so good. I don't want to find the Triumph this turn. We did not find the Triumph. We will play this Wasteland out so that we have way more mana to pay around anything our opponent can have. Force of Will pitching Daze. Sure. Let's just go again. So we have a hard cast Daze, but I'd rather bounce this Undercity Sewers. So I think we are dowsing now in case we draw a Plow or a Brainstorm or... Oh, okay. There we go. There's a Brainstorm. So let's fire off this Brainstorm now. Triumph, we can put that back as the next thing we draw. Pest Control is pretty good. I think we put the Brainstorm on the bottom and then the Triumph, and then we can just have that next turn. We can also do the Pest Control into... Cycle Pest Control into Triumph. It's a pretty cool line. I ponder. Be my guest. Sure. A small creature. We're about to play a big creature. We know there's a Brainstorm on top that we will draw off of our Dowser. But we don't have to do that right now. I'm going to pop our Graveyard up here so it doesn't keep bouncing around when we activate the Dowser. That's very disconcerting. Wowzers trousers. This Leyline Dowser is, alright, just more and more of the finest resources you've ever seen. Let's cast a Brainstorm. Like, it's just such a bevy of riches at this point, isn't it? We'll put the island. No, we'll put the Lorien Revealed. Then the Ponder. And then we can Dowser into one of them and then Dowser the next turn if we want. We just have everything. I don't know what our opponent's supposed to do in this situation. They got a Thundering Falls here. A Hedge Maze. Okay. So their off color is via coming to play tap land. Interesting. Sorry, I say interesting a lot, I know. But I've just find Legacy really fascinating. Alright, our opponent's had enough, and I don't blame them. Alright, our opponent is a creature deck, so I would like a little bit more removal. Lavinia is kind of interesting. Pest Control looks great here. I like the spell bombs. Hydroblast, also good. Snuff Out. It's better to pay 4 life than have a Murktide all up in our business. Lavinia can stop Dazes if I care about those. It can stop Force of Will, but I don't think I care about those. I don't think that's what this game is about. Do we want Force of Wills? I think we probably want some number of Force of Wills, but quite how many is hard to say. This isn't really a Spell Pierce sort of matchup. I think we probably want to trim at least 2 Force of Wills, and I don't really want Dazes on the draw. We're setting ourselves back a land can be pretty costly. We're just going to have loads of removal and some cantrips and stuff. What are we looking at here? Do we even need Force of Will? We could just have a Miser's Force of Will. Am I worried about something like a Blood Moon? Now we can fetch 2 basics and destroy a Blood Moon anyway. We've got Hydroblast too. Yeah, no, I think we just ball in like this. Just play the removal deck. I've played like red, white and black, white control in the past, and you just keep going at your opponent. This hand doesn't have any removal in. It's got common to play tap land. Alright, this has lots of stable mana. We will not get got by a Murktide. We have some card advantage that will dig us towards some removal spells. There is a Misty Rainforest from our opponent. We're going to see a Delver. We are going to see a Delver, sure. Right, so this is going to get us an island. Fetching around a potential Stifle. It's unlikely it's in our opponent's deck, but it's certainly possible they have like one or whatever. So we're going to play our Nihil Spellbomb. So this means that their 2 best threats we can kind of blank with correct timings here. And then next turn we can drop the Dowser into a Daze. If they want to do that, that's fine. So they found a Ponder and they're firing off the Ponder. Sure. So I think being on the draw for this game could be what it ends up coming down to. Tempo decks significantly better on the play, which is hardly a surprise to anyone. A second Delver. Alright, these are things that are now Spellbombs aren't going to really help. And they know the top card of their library, so this Delver is very likely to flip. A Hydroblast. That's not really what we're about right now, is it? I think we're just going to play this Dowser and see what interaction we can get out of it from our opponent. None. Okay. So we can use this to try and dig our way towards a Plow. Or a Pest Control, which would be excellent in this spot. Now we have 4 sweepers for their board in our deck. We do not have oodles of time to find it. Play another 1-drop. They are going to play another 1-drop. We are in Pest Control town over here. A Leyline Dowser. So I think we fire this off like this. We can always play this land to get to Hydroblast the channel if we need to. We just milled a Wasteland. I think we will destroy this channel while we can. We're going to go to 4 this turn, so we could be dead very soon. We just the Delver things. Just making 3 power flyers for 1 mana on turn 1 and 2. There is a Ponder. They're probably just looking for lightning bolts so that even if we kill their creatures, they can just win this game. Pretty reasonable as a play. There is a Wasteland. We're going to lose our Underground Sea. Yeah, that's fine. Sure. So if we have to fetch to get a to cast a Pest Control, then we are dead to Lightning Bolt. So I'm pretty sure our opponent has this game. Alright, Leyline Dowser. Let's see what you can find for us. It is the card we needed. But I think we're about to die the exact way I said we would die. The Lightning Bolt to the face. Or they could just Daze this, which is also terrible for us. Alright, they're brainstorming first. So I don't have the answer in hand. But a Lightning Bolt is lethal here as well. The chances of us winning this game are very slim. We absolutely made a mistake there. We were supposed to crack our Spellbomb. I completely forgot about that. Alright, so if we die to a Murktide, that is on us. We should have just cracked that and shredded their graveyard. That was a real mistake to make there. Alright, we're just dead to Lightning Bolt. Our mistake didn't matter. Okay, do we want to do anything differently on the play? Do we want Dazes in? I don't think so. Our opponent's threats are so cheap. I think I do just like having a bunch of removal. Yeah, we're just going to roll in again. I think being on the play makes a huge difference as well. Like, if we were on the play for that game, we take 6 less damage when we stabilise there, which is enormous. Still getting a little bit used to play patterns of some of these new cards. Alright. Swords to Plowshares. Big fan of having one of those. I think this is a hand where we just fetch our removal colour straight up. Or we just fetch a Tundra. We just have 2 Tundras. I think I'm down for that, actually. Because you're going to want blue-blue at some point. So step 1 is crack this for Tundra. Deploy this spell. Because if we go and get like a basic here and they waste our Tundra, then we have no access to white. If we get a... So they can cut us off a colour with a Wasteland. But by getting the Tundra, they can't cut us off of a colour with a Wasteland. Volcanic Island. Dragon's Rage Channeler. That's a mighty fine creature. I'm down to plow this, I think. Just get out of the way. No card selection, no filling up the graveyard. We have a Brainstorm. I don't really want to fire this off, though. The other option there is to play the Wasteland and potentially hold it up, but I don't think Wasteland is where I want to be against Delver for the most part. Like, sometimes you get hands where you end up playing around it or it becomes useful. Right, our opponent's pondering. They did not use the ability, so they kept the cards. They have another threat here. But again, we do have the Spellbomb, so it's not like we can't deal with this. I don't think we're going to Brainstorm for velocity right there. A Leyline Dowser. I do like the Dowser. But I think we're looking for an immediate answer now rather than setting up an engine. So this Bowmasters is not the one, is it? You know what is the one? Triumph of St. Katherine. Let's put this friend on top. And then we'll play out this Tundra. And we'll play out this Dowser in an attempt to bait some interaction out of our opponent so that our Triumph is more likely to resolve. We can use this to mill our Orcish Bowmasters if that's the thing we want to do as well. A Delver of Secrets. Sure. We can take one of our opponent's finest damages. Oh, look at that. It's a miracle. Let's cast this. White and blue. Do you have a Force of Will? They do not. So we know there's an Orcish Bowmasters on top. Would we rather get another Dowser in play or mill that card off the top? I think I'd rather mill the card off the top. It's not the most mana efficient thing we can do. Let's see what they reveal here. Nothing. Okay, so land or creature most likely. Could be a Mishra's Bauble. Haven't seen any of those for a while. Right, land, I'm going to assume that's what it was. 3 mana. A Meltdown. So we can get their Surveil here. And then we will take out their graveyard. We do not have the black mana for this, unfortunately. Do I want to mill this Orcish Bowmasters? I think I do. That's a pretty big hit there, isn't it? Let's bash for a bunch. So we played around Daze a lot this game. So I think we should continue to play around Daze. Let's just have a modest size Murktide. Who is the beatdown now? Nice 3-2 you might have there. A Brainstorm, sure. So I'm not going to play this Dowser. I wasn't going to play this Dowser into Daze. We can hold up Plow around Daze. A Pyroblast. That's a pretty good one. Doesn't stop the big problem of Triumph of St. Katherine, though. When we have a 5/5 lifelinker, we do not need to plow one of their creatures here. This plow is for the Murktide, which is something that will race what we're doing. Now, if they end up with multiple 3/3s, like 3 or so of them, so we're actually losing damage each time, then maybe we have to reappraise the situation. But for now, I'm happy just to bash away with our pseudo Baneslayer Angel. If our opponent wants to hold them both back on blocks and then do something to turn the Channeler into a 3/3, I'm more than happy to trade my Triumph of St. Katherine for 2 of their creatures, because then we just get to put this back in the top 7. A Delver of Secrets. Okay. That's probably going to flip next turn. Yep, they're getting in for 4. Sure, I'll have another Triumph. Seems good. Again, I've been playing around Daze this whole time, so I'm going to continue to do so. We have 10 power of lifelink guys in play. I expect our critters are going to go all the way here. Lightning bolts. Okay, so they can block and bolt one of our Triumphs. But again, I'll take 2 for 1 on our Triumph that then comes back in a few turns. Yes, it costs us a draw step, but what draw step is better than a 2-mana 5/5 lifelink? Not many. Also interested that they brought in the Meltdown to beat our Dowser. It's very exciting to me. Lots of respect shown for that. Sure, we'll take 6, go to 18. We'll crack back for 10. 3 cards in our opponent's hand. Okay, he's got a lightning bolt swing over there. Pest Control. Oh my god, that's so sick. We don't have the land for it yet, but it's going to be a strong one. They're going to lightning bolt and try and grow it. Nope. We're just going to take a bunch. Leyline Dowser, please. Again, I don't think we're activating this just yet. We're activating our opponent's turn. Because we might want this source to Plowshares around Daze. If something really weird happens. Are these going to be the saddest little delvers? They are. Oh, poor little guys. This card is bananas. I'm calling it now. This feels like playing Staff the Storyteller when Staff the Storyteller was good. Oh my lord. This is going to be a horrible one for our opponent to see. Goodbye, your board. Even if they don't counter this, or sorry, even if they do counter this, like, they still have this coming at them. I'm not sure what their way back from this is. Seek the Beast. Right, we're going to Hydroblast that. Yes, I do just have all of the things. Okay, they got a Pyroblast. Questing Druid and a Ponder. Neither of those stops this Pest Control. And that's the match. Whew. Yeah, our deck feels really good. This feels like the sort of matchup we should be doing pretty well about. Alright, let's go to the 4th round. We are 3-0. Alright, Island Ponder. We can keep this. I think I'm pretty happy to play on non-basics. We'll sandbag our Underground Sea for when we need it, I think. Orcish Bowmaster, great Magic the Gathering card. Let's put his Tundra down. Then there's Bowmasters, and then there's Brainstorm. This means that the Bowmasters is protected from any sort of hand disruption. I think I played against this opponent yesterday, but I can't remember what they were playing. I'm sure it'll come back to me. Ah, they were the Black-White Scam, maybe? So our Bowmasters is going to be on removal duty here. That's A-okay with me. Don't want to fire off our Brainstorm before our opponent can have anything for it. Like a Bowmasters. That seems reasonable. I don't mind having the Daze here. We have a lot of lands. Then we'll chuck back these 2. So we can keep the basics. So we can play on basics now. If we need to. Play this, crack this. We're just going to get all of our cantrips out of the way now. Pest Control has some amount of diminishing returns here, but we earn a... Do we want the Pest Control? I think we just shuffle this. So the Force of Will is nice, but I think we're just going to end the order and shuffle here. Okay, a land is fine too. It's a fetch land, so it represents some surveil action. We just want mana so that we can play spells and then also dump mana into the Leyline Dowser every turn. And that should be enough. Our opponent is representing an Orcish Bowmasters here. Leyline Dowser is not a card draw. Okay, we're going to pop our Graveyard up here so it doesn't keep bouncing around. Our opponent's going to read this for a minute. Right, we're in with the Dowser, which is not a surprise. Our opponent is very unlikely to be playing any blue spells when they've got 2 non-blue lands in play. Here comes Bowmaster. A Pest Control being cycled. Okay. That's why our Pest Control is no good, because the black-white deck is trying to leverage this. So it's not playing things like Stalkers or anything like that. There's a basic plains. A Stoneforge Mystic. Okay. What are they going to find with it, though? Are we in Cauldron Town, or have they got some spicy stuff? It is just Cauldron Town. And then we'll do our dowsing. And then we can shoot this Stoneforge. Alright, we just had a Bowmasters there, sure. Alright, this Wasteland is actually really good here. Because it allows us to Wasteland the Shadowy Backstreet. So if they have an Ephemerate, they can't use it. Because we can pass phases. Right, so now we can plow this to stop the scary thing coming along. We can fire up the Dowser. Another Orcish Bowmasters. Not really the one I wanted. The Wasteland also does make our Daze a much better Magic the Gathering card. Where are all these extra cards we wanted off you, Dowser? I'm pretty happy to just draw removal though. So, a Lion's Sash. This is an interesting choice here. I'm going to bounce this so that we can Orcish Bowmasters this down. Because if we let it come in, they can pay white and exile our Bowmasters and grow it. This way we get a clean trade. Or not even a trade, we just get a clean 2 for 1, 3 for 1, whatever you want to call it. Let's crack this. And Underground Sea. Play the Bowmasters. What a great exchange that was. Ping this guy. I'll fire off the Dowser now in case we hit a blue card. No, just another land. We're just milling all the lands off the top of our deck. That was a pretty good Daze. It ended up being a Daze trading for a Lion Sash. It's kind of how it ended up working out more than anything. Wasteland, they can take out any black source. We've got another one in hand. But they know we're on soft permission, so taking themselves off of a mana source makes our soft permission better, things like Daze. A Pest Control. Sure, you can take out our army taken. That is not great, but they can't really cycle it and just improve the size of our board. Sure, that's fine. We're just trading cards and then we're just going to gas up with the Dowser. We can cast a Ponder first. A Murktide Regent, you say? I do want the Murktide Regent right now. So if we put the Triumph on the bottom, then the Underground Sea, then the Murktide. Say no to this. So we draw this. We play this out. We cast the Murktide. Getting rid of a bunch of things here. And then we fire off this Dowser, which will get rid of the card we don't want on top, which is the Underground Sea. And then we untap and make the Triumph. We are just pulling ahead in quite good fashion here. Now, our opponent does have some plays to get them back into the game. They've got a bunch of cards in hand. They could start dumping out things like Solitude, which is not going to be our best friend. Trailblazer's Torch. They're taking the initiative. That is a bold choice when they don't have a creature in play. Does that mean they have a Solitude? It must mean they have a Solitude. Why would you do that play otherwise? Or they could have a Plow here and they're getting the land to play the Plow. There's the land. There it is. Plow? There it is. Okay, so we called it. But we're about to play another big creature. Would you look at that? Let's go dowsing. So now we have Force of Will blue card. We can also get Surveil land as well. Our opponent's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mana. So they're getting close to casting this Cauldra. So they're going to go down the Lost Well and Scry 2. I think we Force of Will anything that can kill our Triumph here. The plan is just to take the initiative off our opponent and win the game that way. Okay, put 1 top, 1 bottom. Right, we will get our Surveil land. And Orcish Bowmasters. Our opponent's got 3 more cards in hand. I think this is worth Force of Willing. And if they've got another Plow, that's obviously a pain. But that's a lot of blockers and keeps the Monarch for quite some time. Not the Monarch, the Initiative. A Brainstorm. That is an above average draw. Let's go to attacks. Can I get the Monarch? This puts another card in our hand for the purposes of Brainstorm. There we go. Beautiful. Oh wait, it doesn't put another card in our hand actually, does it? I forgot we've got both of our basics already. Okay, let's fire off this Brainstorm. I think if our opponent had a Orcish Bowmaster, they would have fired it off then. I don't really like this Daze, but it can sometimes randomly do stuff. So I guess we put the Pending and then the Daze, and then we can mill the Daze, but it will go into our hand. I'd be happy just to mill it, the fact that we actually get to draw it for later Brainstorms is pretty good gas. Last time we could have Dowsered when we knew the top card of our library was a Brainstorm. As well, that's another option that was available to us. A Batter Skull. I guess we are going to get to do that Dowser thing. Alright, our opponent has had enough with us, and I do not blame them. So Pest Control will kill Germ tokens, but is that what I'm actually about? Not really sure. Doorkeeper Thrull is going to be pretty good against our opponent's deck, though. And I would like a Prismatic Ending. That's going to be flexible and remove a bunch of stuff. Spell Pierce, I don't think that's what I'm about. I don't really like the Dazes that much here. We can at least shred 2 of them. Do we want Serenity to deal with their equipment? It's not like it's going to get all of their equipment, is it? Do we want Lavinia? Oh, we want to Snuff Out, actually, for sure. We'll trim this other Daze. I still like having Forces in the deck. Yeah, this seems good. Do we still want the Pest Controls? It doesn't exile, actually, does it? So that's a little bit less good. Let's take a Spell Pierce instead of that. Actually, let's have a Surgical in case they've got a Scam package. We'll like the Surgical, or we'll like the... Actually, we'll have a Spellbomb. There you go. A weird mix of cards, I guess, but the important things here is the fact that we just got a boatload of removal and some Doorkeeper Thrulls. That should be the thing that wins us the game most of the time. We have a Brainstorm, but we're very dependent on this Brainstorm doing things. I guess we got the Dowser as well. We don't have any white mana. Is this a bit of a loose one? If you find white mana, it's pretty good with the ending. We do have the Force for like a turn 2 Stoneforge. If they do like the full Scam thing, then that's not going to be good for us. We're going to leave our graveyard popped up here, as I've been doing this league. Just makes it a bit easier. Okay. Do I want to Wasteland our opponent? Do I want to play a Nihil Spellbomb? I don't think I want to Brainstorm. Just reset this game back a turn. I think that's acceptable. Just give us more turns. If we reset the game, but with 1 card deeper in our library, we're more likely to find that white mana we're looking for. Or another blue card to pair with our Brainstorm. I think we have to Brainstorm now because there might be a Bowmasters in our future. Right, we didn't find what we wanted, but we've got some stuff. I don't think we need a second Dowser. And we can just put this Ponder on top because that's the most important card here. We kind of need the blue card in hand though, don't we? Yeah, there is that. We just put the Spellbomb on top. Okay. I wanted to use this Ponder differently, but we might have to use it to pitch if they got... Oh, they didn't have a thing. Alright. So Bowmasters is a little bit sketchy for us here. I think we're just going to pass and hold up our own Bowmasters. The classic play. Bowmasters, your Bowmasters. Cycling a Troll of Khazad-dûm. Yeah. It's pretty good. Kind of punished for not going for the Spellbomb, but it feels like our opponent does have Bowmasters to me, and they were just holding up multiple options. Because they didn't just immediately cycle. There was a tiny pause there. Like they're thinking through their options. There is a Plains. A Dauthi Voidwalker. How annoying is Dauthi Voidwalker for us? It doesn't actually impact our Leyline Dowser. I don't think this is our fight. We made it pretty clear that we had something there, though. Having this turn cycle where we just pass and do nothing feels terrible. We know we're drawing a dud, but we can cast this Ponder without fear of this Dauthi, without fear of Bowmasters, which is pretty good. We do need this land. This is going to put us shields down with Force of Will, but it's going to turn on all of our removal, which is a-okay with me. I think we just Prismatic Ending this right away. We don't want to get taken off of our removal colour, so I think we are getting the Plains here. Say goodbye to Dauthi. They could have something like an Ephemerate. They did not. We already have the answer for a reanimated Troll, if that's what we're worried about. Maybe next turn we can start getting our Leyline Dowser going. There is a shadowy backstreet. Oh, we're getting hit by a Grief, are we? Pitching a Bowmasters that I correctly anticipated they would have. So they probably take our Plow here. Unless they're really scared of these Leyline Dowsers. Curious how they stack that with it dying first. Normally you want to make sure you get to see their hand before it dies. Yep, they took the Plow as I thought they would. Now, what is the follow-up? A reanimate on the grief. So this probably takes the Bowmasters if they were prioritizing removal, because Bowmasters can double block it. There's no point taking one of the Dowsers. Yeah, so they've gone for the Bowmasters. That's what I would have done. A Lorien Revealed is a nice one here. Let's go and get a Tundra. I think we're supposed to play out the Spellbomb here. I think we're going to play the Dowser as well, rather than getting the card off this. Just set ourselves up better for next turn. Because we don't have a removal spell, if they can put that troll into play, I'm not going to like that very much. If we'd have kept our ability to draw a card, we could maybe do something with Force of Will. Our opponent knows we're shields down for a turn. I think they would play into it regardless. And if all they're doing with the amount of mana they had last turn was reanimating a grief, maybe they don't have huge amounts of stuff going on right now. A Doughty Voidwalker. Yeah, that's a good one. This doesn't interact with Leyline Dowser as they want it to, because it goes into a hand, so they can't exile it from that point. I'm pretty sure. It works like Gyruda. Yes, I would like to have a massive friend. We don't want to fire off the Leyline Dowser yet, because if our opponent... If we mill a... Oh no, because it's not going to go into the Doughty, is it? Black and white. There's going to be a cycle of something. Just a Bowmaster. Okay, I think I'm going to Dowser. This shouldn't go underneath the Doughty Voidwalker, the way it's worded. Because it mills and then puts it into our hand. Ugh. Wait, what? Oh, it's the Wasteland that's gone into the exile. Yeah, okay. We left up white in case we drew a plow, but it does mean we don't get to do a card draw off of our Spellbomb. Our opponent's got one card in hand, though. And we have a decent selection of stuff going on. So there's a Ponder, a Flooded Strand, and a Wasteland in the Void. So that's not worth cracking their Doughty Voidwalker for. Unless they're really desperate for that Ponder. Alright, they did have the plow. Okay. We will continue to grind away. So we don't have a clean way of dealing with all this. But we have card advantage. We need to leverage it, though, before we just get stomped on by all their guys. We need to play a little bit faster as well to make sure that we end up ahead on clock. Ponder. Not great into the old Orcish Bowmasters. I think we're just going to fire off his Leyline Dowser. A Murktide Regent. We need to keep an eye on our exile zone. Unfortunately, that means putting it here. I guess we can pop it out like this instead. That's better for you visually. So let's get another Leyline Dowser going. You don't need to fire this off now. So this is 3, 6, 7, 8. We're getting to look at 3 cards a turn without even triggering Bowmaster. Yeah, so it works the way I thought it did around Doughty Voidwalker. We put it into our hand, but it's from the Void, which is still fine. I'm not sure we're winning this one, though. This is like more than half our life total right now. Prismatic Ending. That's the sort of thing we're looking for. If we kill this, that's still not enough, is the issue. If we kill the Bowmaster, we then get to Ponder. But what does Ponder actually do for us? I think we need to Dowsing here. A Doorkeeper Thrull. Plowing this, ending this doesn't work. We'll go through one more time. Murktide Regent. No, we're just cooked there. Let's go to the final game of this match. Lavinia doesn't stop whenever an opponent casts a spell, so it does stop pitch cast things. So maybe we do want this. Is that better than a Daze? Like the Nihil Spellbomb didn't seem amazing. I'm not into this Spell Pierce. I think I'd rather have this Lavinia. Daze on the play looks alright. Snuff Out is kind of an odd one. I think it's more or less fine. Do we want more Dazes? I'm kind of tempted by a second Daze. Is that instead of a Dowser? Dowsers have been pretty good. That's not Trim Ponder. I don't think this is the deck where I want to trim Ponders. No, I think we just have the 1 Daze there and just keep loads of removal in. Our deck should be pretty solid in this matchup, to be honest. Okay, Island Ponder. I think we keep this. We have seen Wasteland, so we have to get a basic island here. Actually, do we have to? We could always just cycle this Lorien Revealed. So maybe we just go Polluted Delta, and then we go get a Tundra, then we cycle the Lorien Revealed. Or we could go and get a... We can go and get something else if we want to like fire off a Snuff Out. Or we could get the Surveil land if we're not getting hit by anything this turn. Like a Wasteland. To get slightly more selection to dig into more lands. a Wasteland. Okay. Understood, opponent. Are we... I think we're still doing it, aren't we? So if we get a Tundra and cycle, or we just get an island and get a Tundra with it, that's also fine. The other option is to get a Tundra there and then go and find a Tundra. Right, they're just cycling that guy. Sure. They're worried that we have a Stifle. I guess they're going to be doing that anyway. Probably doesn't hurt to chuck it in the graveyard now. And the fact that we fetched a basic means that they're not getting much use out of this Wasteland anyway. They went to get a Scrubland. So we will get a Tundra here. I don't think the Snuff Out's going to work particularly well. A Doorkeeper Thrull. I don't hate that one. But in the face of this Wasteland, how do I feel about doing that? I think I would rather ponder and try and secure another land drop. We have secured another land drop. We've secured multiple land drops. This is a little bit of an awkward one. I guess we'll play this out and then we can see what we want to fetch with it. If we want to enable our Snuff Out or not. Right, so there's a Scrubland from our opponent. A Grief. What am I supposed to do about Grief? We have a Prismatic Ending on top of our library. Am I just ploughing this right now? Am I Force of Willing this right now? Opponent's got 5 cards in hand. Oh, this feels so bad. It is a 2 for 2 already, though. I don't like it. Another Grief pitching Leyline of the Void. Okay, so top card of our library is Prismatic Ending. We can fetch that away if we don't want it. We're probably going to lose our Plow or our Thrull here. I don't mind Griefs when they're just pitching 2 cards to Thoughtseize us. It's when they reanimate it, which is the pain. Where was our Lavinia? They took the Snuff Out. That means they're probably bringing this back. Does it? Because we just go get the Tundra there and plow something. Oh, they're going to ephemerate this now. That is a weird play to me. Why were you taking the Snuff Out there? What have I missed? Right, we'll get planes. Okay. Like if you take the Snuff Out, sorry, the swords. Maybe they've got something that they're valuing higher. Maybe it's like Stoneforge Mystic plus Plow as their last 2 cards in hand. I don't really want to play this into the Wasteland we know about. I'd rather save it to activate our Dowser at least once. Cycling a Troll. Play out that Scrubland. I will just fire in this Doorkeeper Thrull. It might die to removal, but we need to move our game plan forward here and get this Dowser on the go. If this attracts removal, that means our Triumph of St. Katherine that we could have down the line might not. They might just put a Bowmasters in response. Yeah, okay, that's fine. Our current hand is fine against Bowmasters. Our little throw will be back on blocks as well. Not quite what we're after. Let's play this Dowser. Let's play this Tundra. And then we can fire this off as and when we please. Because our opponent has hand disruption, I don't want to just put something into our hand and then get it griefed away. But we do have a Daze in our deck, so there is a chance of finding a Daze if we have a good target for it. Just respond based on what our opponent does. They milled a Bowmasters. Sure, I will put this card into my hand. 3 cards for free. They're not free, obviously. We've paid 3 mana for that one, effectively. But we'll lose our Tundra. Our opponent will have 1 card in hand. If it's a Stoneforge, it doesn't get to get a weapon because of our Doorkeeper. We're not going to block the army, but we will block the Bowmasters if they attack. I'm going to Dowser. Am I going to Dowser now? No, I'm just going to pass a turn. Brainstorm, obviously, not great into this board. Doorkeeper Thrull stops entering the battlefield stuff, but it doesn't stop stuff once it's already in play, so the Bowmasters will still trigger. Let's see if we can draw a free card. We can. That's a very good card. Let's Island Cycle. Let's get this Underground Sea. Alright, I think we are... This doesn't actually kill their Bowmasters, which is somewhat frustrating. But we can attack and we can trade Bowmasters, and I'll accept that as a thing we get to do. The Bowmasters is literally just a 2-mana 1/1 flash. But if we can use that as a removal spell for their Bowmasters, I will take it. They should just attack with the Orc Army. Yeah, our opponent knows what's up there. Okay. It didn't work. Our little plan. Let's draw some more cards. Am I playing this Bowmasters right now? What good does that actually do me? Very little. if our Thrull dies, it can be a useful card. I don't really want to ponder into this. I definitely don't want to brainstorm into it. I think we will Dowser again. Murktide Regent. Okay, that's not really the one. Okay, I guess we're just in a holding pattern, but we've got a million cards in hand. We are heavily favoured from this point, but we do need to find one of our many removal spells to really unlock this game. They don't have anything like a Lorien to reach for either. Am I okay putting one in? I don't think I need to. A Plow. We finally got there. Plow. We've got a Force if we need to stop something like an Ephemerate. I really don't rate Ephemerate as a card, to be honest. I think you're better off just putting a card that's individually good in your deck rather than Ephemerate. There it is. Is Brainstorm or Ponder better here? Probably Brainstorm. Let's get some card draw going. I would like a Nihil Spellbomb to stop some scary reanimate things happening. I would like a land. I don't really want these Bowmasters. Do I want this Daze? Not really. Let's put one Daze away. Oh, they have 5 mana is the thing. So maybe a Daze can do something against like a Solitude. So we crack this now. Get a Tundra. We could just get a... No, we can't get Sanctuary yet, can we? We get Tundra. And we'll play the Spellbomb. And then we can Dowser or hold up this Spellbomb. Alright. We've got about 30 seconds left on our clock. Less on our clock than our opponent. So we need to make sure that we can win the game. 7 minutes is plenty of time to win the game. But our deck is not the fastest thing in the world. Let's just keep dowsing. A Doorkeeper Thrull, sure. Right, so now we can just put a Plow on top whenever we want it. Or we can put this Lorien Revealed on top. For next turn, that feels pretty solid. Shadowy Backstreet, sure. Let's crack this. Mystic Sanctuary. Get this Lorien Revealed. Activate the Dowser. Well, would you look at that? Lorien Revealed. Sure, I'll have that one. Brainstorm, sure. Let's just cast this. Right, we've gassed back up. Still not really ready to try and win the game yet. Where is my Triumph of St. Katherine? I think I'm tempted to Brainstorm in the end step just to try and find one and set it up. We've gone through half our deck. We need to be prioritizing threats now. Whereas the Dowser doesn't find the threats. Let's get this. Undercity Sewers is fine, actually. No, we don't need another one of those. Let's cast a Brainstorm. Where are you? Murktide Regent. Triumph of St. Katherine. And a Bowmasters. We don't really need the Bowmasters. Don't really need the Wasteland either. Let's just make a Triumph here. We've got one Murktide Regent left in our deck as well. And 2 more Triumphs. Have they got another Surveil land? They should do. They got rid of an Ephemerate. I thought these. Honestly, don't care. That's fine. Our hand is fine. Our board is good. We can poke holes in it. We can draw more cards. We can take your graveyard out when we want to. Right, I took the ending. Sure. We can bounce our Mystic Sanctuary with a Daze at some point and rebuy a specific spell. Source to Plowshares. Let's bounce the Mystic Sanctuary here. And down the Voidwalker. Sure. Where is that Prismatic Ending from earlier? Let's cast a Brainstorm. We don't need a Wasteland right now. We don't need this Bowmasters. Let's kill this. Play the biggest creature in town. Genuinely can't remember what's on top of our library. I'm just trying to play fast here. Is it Bowmasters? Reanimate on our Murktide Regent. Do I want to exile my graveyard? I've got to play quick. 4 minutes left. Triumph of St. Katherine with a Source of Plowshares underneath it. Sure. A land from our opponent. Right, let's take the swords. Let's go attacks. Send in the clowns. Now they get a bit of extra life. Fine. Let's just do our Dowser. I don't care about that. We can take 3. We've got lots of life. Reanimate on a Troll of Khazad-dûm. Sure. That's what we saved the plow for. Let's cast this guy. Adds 1 power to the board. This guy adds 1 power to the board. Plow this guy. Draw for turn. Attack with everything. Cast Brainstorm. We got Fetch Land in play. Okay. These cards seem fine. So put this and this. We have a Force of Will for whatever our opponent does. If they gain 3 life, they go up to 9. We have more than that on the crackback, so they have to block our little friend. And that's fine too. Oh, my game is lagging out and eating our clock. Come on, deck. Come on, deck. Very close. They got 1 card in hand. We have a Force of Will. We don't need to mess around. We just need to attack. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. They've got to have something here. Imagine if there's a Ephemerate was a real card. It wouldn't matter if it was a real card, but still. Alright, we got the match. It was a bit of a slog, but we got there. Leyline Dowser was incredibly powerful yet again. I'm putting them into a basket in a shop as we speak, because they seem like the real deal. And we are, once again, playing Esper, playing for a trophy. Alright, let's start jamming that trophy match. Iron Ponder is keepable for me. We're probably playing on non-basics this game, unless we see something that makes us drastically change our mind. Okay, Pest Control, Orcish Bowmasters. I'm already liking the look of this matchup. Right, we're going to get Tundra. Let's cast a Ponder. Pest Control, exactly what we want to see here. So let's put C, Delta, Pest Control. Alright, opponent. What is this? A Green Sun Zenith where X equals 1. Sure. They're going to have a pretty rude awakening in the very near future. There's another land underneath it, which I'm happy to draw. Black, white, eat it. A pretty potent 2 for 1. Now, if we just keep making land drops, we can just hard cast this Triumph. X equals 1. Reclaimer? No, just another Hierarch. Sure, so Bowmasters can pick this one up, and we can hold up Spell Pierce for something weird. This feels like an absolute bread and butter matchup for the sort of deck we're playing. Bunch of removal, card advantage to 1 for 1 or multiple things. Sure. You can have that guy. Let's go for a Brainstorm here. We've got a Shuffle Effect ready. We don't need 2 lands here. I quite like Spell Pierce. I quite like Daze still. Maybe it's just the Lorien Revealed. Jam this. And crack this. Get ourselves a Tundra. Cast a Ponder. Just move some cards around. We can attack our opponent's life total a bit more. We can just kill this guy. That's pretty good too. I think I'm going to want this Wasteland soon as well. Maybe I shouldn't have done that one. Because we don't have removal for bigger things. I think that was a bit of a mistake. But I do want to constrict my opponent's mana. Sure. Let's just say no to this one. I feel like I'm playing on cheat mode here. We're just absolutely drawing all the right things all the time. Just crushing it. So our opponent has shown us that, which means they're probably more likely on the Maverick spectrum. So our opponent had enough yet. I feel pretty rude, to be honest. On the flip side, when you play... When you're the one on the receiving end of the sort of hand that we've had here, it does make you feel alright in some respects, because you go, well, there's nothing I could have done. Because our hand is absolutely just taken apart what they've had. Right, so this can go get us a Surveil land. And then next time we can play the Triumph. We can cycle the Pest Control if that's something we're really into, but I don't think it is. Right, crack this Flooded Strand. Get the Surveil land. Lorien Revealed. Sure. I'll take a draw 5. Draw 3, sorry. Not particularly worried about what our opponent can have here. For just a single green mana. They might have like a Veil that they can cycle. It's probably about the worst this goes for us for the most part. Right. So now we can make a Murktide. That ends the game a lot quicker than Triumph. Right, they found a basic. A Deeproot Wayfinder. Okay, so we can Prismatic Ending that and then still Murktide. White, blue. Make a massive guy. So this is lethal next turn. Yeah, we literally had everything that entire game. Okay, so we're looking at a Maverick deck. So removal is good. Removal is good. Removal is good. Doorkeeper Thrull is interesting sometimes. And then I think that's probably about it. Just have a thing. I don't think Daze is going to do us any good here. So we brought out 4 days, brought in 4 removal spells. That seems pretty fine. Spell Pierce definitely has targets in our opponent's deck. We've seen a little bit of weird stuff with the the Deep-Root Wayfinder, that might just be a thing that our opponent's trying out as like a one-of to tutor for, and they just happen to draw it. I don't think we're going to want any Nihil Spellbombs. Doorkeeper Thrull can do some stuff, but I don't think it's that necessary. I think we're just going to board in a bunch of removal and kill all our opponent's things. Island Ponder with a couple of forces. Sure. Our opponent's mulligan to 5. That makes our pitching our Force of Wills not as much of a burden. We end up trading evenly in terms of total resources we're left with. We're not going to Force of Will that many things. We can let them have their 1-drops. A Savannah. A Noble Hierarch. We do have to get a basic here, which is the one downside of this hand. But I believe in the power of Ponder. This makes me really want to get a Tundra. Maybe that's greedy. And maybe we're going to get punished by a Wasteland. We have another land here. The fact that we're getting a non-basic might tell our opponent that we don't care about any Wastelands. There's a Wasteland. Alright. Sure. Thalia. That one can get out of here. We know what the top card of our library is, so we're going to wait till next turn before we crack this fetch. See if our opponent plays out another Wasteland. They do play out another Wasteland. A Green Sun Zenith where X equals 2. I think we're counterspelling this. I'm just working out what we're pitching. I think it has to be the Murktide. The opponent has definitely shown us what they've got going on over there, though. I guess we're getting our basic island. We've got a lot of looks here. Alright, this is pretty good. So we put Lorien Revealed down, and then it's the Bowmasters and the Underground Sea, and we say no to this. Then we can take out their Hierarch next turn. Hierarch, double Wasteland, Thalia, Green Sun, that's pretty good. Alright. Are we taking out the Thalia or are we taking out the Hierarch? Probably has to be the Hierarch. Sorry, the Thalia. Otherwise, we just get locked underneath our opponent's Wasteland. Alright. We've got some stuff. We also do have a removal spell for the Hierarch. Want that down the line. We've got a Brainstorm we have access to as well. To try and dig some more stuff. A Deep-Root Wayfinder. Yeah. This doesn't have trample or anything, does it? Whenever it deals combat damage to a player or a battle. Yep, goodbye land. A Lorien Revealed that we knew was on top. I think we are brainstorming here. Yeah, that's fine. We want this Murktide. We don't need this Dowser. Do we need this Pest Control? I would like the second Dowser. I think we put the Pest Control on top. Then we can play this one out. And then, if we want the Pest Control, we can draw it. Otherwise, we can Lorien Revealed in our opponent's turn. Or end their turn, being that sort of thing. And then just jam a big Murktide. I would not like you to Wasteland me out of the game. Another Deep-Root Wayfinder. Okay. And a Bojuka Bog. Oh, that's so good. A Bojuka Bog is really good. Okay, we don't want this Pest Control. Our opponent is certainly clawing their way back into this one. Let's get a Tundra. That's our removal colour. And naturally drawn Bojuka Bog might be it. Because if we could have just stuck a Murktide there, I think we have that game. But now we are looking for things. Force of Will. You're a little bit late, aren't you? Let's get this Leyline Dowser. So the lands come back tapped. So you can block one of these. Take 2. They get a Wasteland back. And then we have a turn to try and navigate this little problem. I thought this might have been a singleton, but it feels like the deck is relatively heavily dedicated to this. We can't let them get back 2 Wastelands. So we do have to chump block here. Let's put another card in our graveyard for the purpose of Murktide. Not that I think that's going to be that important right now. Because it's a little way off. That Bojuka Bog though. I can't moan about my opponent having a thing when game 1 we absolutely just drew the nuts and just slaughtered everything they did for the whole game. I would be not a nice person to be moaning about our opponent's draws. Okay, let's take this Ponder. Pest Control. We can take out this Hierarch. What does that do for us? Not a lot. We can Ponder. Well, I think we have to Ponder, is the truth of the matter. Undercity Sewers, Brainstorm, Wasteland. We could... So this is going to go to the graveyards. That's 3 cards. If we Brainstorm into a fetch land, that's 4. But we need the next card underneath this to be exactly Brainstorm. I think we have to any order and shuffle here. Okay, we do the Brainstorm anyway. Right, so we have a land here. We haven't made a land drop yet. I don't think we need Pest Control. I guess we get rid of the Brainstorm. Okay, so we want Tundra, that's our removal colour. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We could just play this Murktide. Put the biggest thing on the board. Protect it with Force of Will. Our opponent's got 1 card in hand. Alright, this is what we sculpted for. And then hopefully we don't get buried by multiple Wastelands. So they can Wasteland us once this turn and then once next turn. Knight of the Reliquary. That is something that demands an answer very, very quickly. They can take us off black. Are they going to value getting a Wasteland here? Is it worth their 2/3 body? Cowardice. Cowardice right there. Okay. Wasteland. That can take them off of Knight of the Reliquary activations, which is pretty huge. It does make the Knight of the Reliquary a 6/6 though. And it'll be a 7/7 on attacks. Alright, I think we have to hold back on blocks here. We need some plows. Alright, they're just letting us continue this game. That is interesting. Alright, let's go dowsing again. And a miss. We could cycle this to try and find a plow. Or we could use this to hit their hierarch. And then... Actually, no, we can't use this to hit their hierarch. So we are kind of on the cycling this. We can do that in our opponent's turn, though. Because we might want this Wasteland. Okay, so they get 1 land here. Could be Yavimaya. If it is, we just Wasteland it. A Portico. So now this is big enough anyway. Are we supposed to cycle this to try and plow their guy? I guess we let them cycle first. We don't want to have to chomp block with my Murktide. I think we do have to cycle as Pest Control. And Endurance. Yeah. We're going to target nothing here, right? Oh, they're targeting us. Okay, so now we cycle this. This is going to give us a bigger Murktide. Okay. That's not unhelpful. Grist. Yeah, that's probably it, isn't it? I think we can scoot this one up now. Yeah, okay. Our opponent multiplied, but had a pretty good draw that put us to the sword there, so fair play on that one. What do we want here? Anything different? Do I like Dazes? I'm not sure I do like the Dazes still. They just don't feel great when we have removal anyway. They're much more into like doing stuff with their lands than I thought they were. So maybe we'll have a Spellbomb for their graveyard instead of... do we want all 4 Pest Controls? I think so. I think they are just that good here. Right, let's submit like this. Yep, I'll keep this. Undercity Sewers as our first land. Some Surveil action. This is for the trophy. We have 2 pieces of removal, one of them that comes on a body. Sewers out there. Triumph of St. Katherine. I don't really want to draw this now. Do I want it in my graveyard though? I guess so. I hope our opponent hasn't brought in Surgicals and tries to just attack our total number of threats. Because that is a viable way of beating us, I think. Verdant Catacombs. Play a 1-drop. Play a 0/1, please. Play a Mana Dork. I don't want to see a Reclaimer. A Thoughtseize. Okay. Our hand's pretty good. We've got Bowmasters and Plow. Both of them play here. They're not going to go for the Murktide at this point. It's not what this game is about. Not yet, anyway. Yep, they're going for the Plow. Not unexpected. Our opponent can have a choke. There's not much we can do about that, given our current hand. So let's just hold up this Bowmasters. Means our opponent's going to be reluctant to play an X1, unless they just have multiple and they just have to play one out. Would I rather have a Murktide or a Bowmasters? I think the information we get off our opponent is going to be somewhat useful. Need a little bit of help if our opponent's just going to keep hitting our stuff. There's a possibility our opponent has like a little combo in there. Okay, they're more scared of Murktide than they are of Bowmasters. That's interesting. Okay. What have you got for me, deck? We're going to flood out and just keep drawing lands? Yes and no is the answer to that one. We'll put an Underground Sea and we'll pass holding up this Bowmasters. A couple of turns time we can draw a bunch of cards with our Lorien Revealed. A Knight of the Reliquary who is a 3/3. A second Orcish Bowmasters. That's pretty good if our opponent wants to attack. I know we have a Bowmasters, so maybe they're just going to be playing some Knight of the Reliquary shenanigans. There is a Windswept Heath. Going to attacks. I would like it if you would, please. They have decided not to do that. If I want to draw a bunch of cards, I can't really do it into the face of a Bowmasters on our opponent's side. A Leyline Dowser, though. That is a real one. Let's get that in there. We have the engine. An endurance. Let's crack this first. A Murktide. Okay. We're going to lose to Maverick. Could be. They didn't shuffle it back in. That's unusual. I guess these are good cards they don't want us to have in our deck. Because they're the ones they've thought seized away. We are behind a sizable margin right now. Then we have one Underground Sea left in our deck. In terms of black mana. I don't like the way I've tapped my lands here. We've made ourselves very susceptible. Pick your poison. You only have one artifact, so easy choice. I think we have to go and get... If we get the Bowmasters... I hate the way I've played this game. Well, we've tapped horribly there, which has jammed us up. Let's ping for one. Soak up the damage from the Knight, because the second Bowmaster will give us a fresh blocker, so it's worth soaking this up now. If our life total gets too low, we're susceptible to someone like a Azorius step finishing us off. A Noble Hierarch, sure. Okay, so this is the play. We get the Mystic Sanctuary. We put the Swords to Plowshares on top. We hope they don't have an Orcish Bowmasters in hand. They did not. Right, then we plow this Knight. Oh, what is this? A Dryad Arbor. Oh, is that just so they gain more life off the plow? I hope that's all they're doing. Okay, that's all they're doing, sure. So I think we're going to pad our life total using the Bowmasters here. And we just throw this under the Exalted Bus. And then we can Prismatic Ending away the Endurance, Bowmasters down the Hierarch. And then we're pretty stable from that point, unless our opponent drops something horrible right now. Don't drop something horrible, please, opponent. Oh, stop drawing bangers. Just draw some lands for a couple of turns. I beg you. This is a Green Sun Zenith for Knight. Feels that way. Pest Control doesn't kill Dryad Arbor as well, so that's not going to be a way we can get a 2-for-1 easily. X equals 4. What is this? Don't make me read the card. So what is this? Thalia and the Gitrog monster. First strike, death touch. You may play additional land on each of your turns. Creatures and non-basic lands your opponent's control enter the battlefield tapped. Whenever this attack, sacrifice a creature and draw a land. Okay. Can't say I've seen that one in Legacy very much. First strike, death touch. You may play additional land on each of your turns. Creatures and non-basic lands. When this attacks, sacrifice a creature or land. I guess we're just ploughing this. And then we're just getting rid of this Hierarch. And then we take out this Dryad Arbor. We have a removal spell for this Endurance in hand. But because I fetched horribly this game and tapped horribly, we didn't get to cast it. Just clean up the board. This time I will take 3. More. Okay, I would rather kill this than the Endurance. Tapping horribly somehow ended up working out. I don't really want to draw a miracle card this turn. So we get this. So we want white, blue, and black. Get this out of here. Next turn, we're just going to hardcast this Triumph. And maybe our opponent can just take a turn off from drawing absolute bangers. That would be lovely. I will block with this. I don't think this 1/1 Orc army is going to be doing much for us. Alright. Let's cast this. I'm a little bit worried about choke, if I'm being perfectly honest. Right, the plow on that, sure. A Nihil Spellbomb is a cantrip. The plow is the sort of thing we're looking for here. But if we have the plow, then we have to Nihil Spellbomb the next turn. Is that acceptable? I think it is. Am I attacking with this Orcish Bowmasters? Yes. I don't want our opponent to have something like a Sylvan Library. Alright, they just got another Endurance. Okay, that's pretty good. There goes our graveyard. Yikes. Our opponent has been ripping pretty well. We ripped pretty well in game 1. I think our deck just generally is pretty good in the matchup because it's just a bunch of removal spells against creatures. And then bigger creatures than them. Alright. What have you got, opponent? Just a Hierarch. Okay, I can live with a Hierarch. I think they're going to attack with both their guys rather than just one anyway. So we play this out. We know the next card down is a Wasteland. I think we will fire this off now while we know there's no Bowmasters. Do we hit a Bayou here? Does that help? What does that actually do for us? It stops them getting another like silly Thalia type thing. We hope they attack with one creature for 4 damage using the Exalted. I don't think that's what's going to happen. Right, let's plow one of these, save ourselves a little bit of life. If our Triumphus and Katherine was angled differently, that would have been fine. Okay, this Thalia doesn't really matter outside of the fact that it's a body. The problem I'm having right now. We have a land that we don't want. We're going to leave it in hand for purposes of Brainstorms. Alright, trophy feels like it's slipping away from us. There's a Wasteland. We only have one white source. We have a white source in hand, though. That does put us to 2. A Leyline Dowser. This costs 3 mana. Right, that's us dead, unfortunately. Yeah, I can't believe we actually lost this deck. I thought this deck would have been the absolute easiest deck in the world for us to beat. But our opponent just had some pretty good draws that lined up nicely in the 2 games they won. So, yeah, a bit unfortunate we didn't get the trophy, I think, there. But we definitely showcased the power of this deck. And if anything, it's kind of the just desserts for what we did to our opponent in the first game and the last one. We did properly grind their face into the dirt. So I can't fault them having a fortuitous couple of games there, because I did feel a bit bad doing that one. All right, so we went 4-1, just missing out on the trophy. As for this deck, like the Esper deck I played the other day, it felt really good. The main times that I've been jammed up playing it are mana issues. Now, some of those we bring on ourselves with the way we fetch a little bit, but we are a deck that operates on a low land count. We're a 19 land deck with 4 Wastelands. So that's like 1 land more than your average Delver deck. So we are pretty low to the ground. I think cutting a Leyline Dowser for a meticulous archive is something I would consider in this build. It did feel like having another land might be useful, and that land is a good one. But as for the actual deck, it feels pretty great. I think the Spell Pierce is a pretty flexible slot. I don't necessarily think you need that. You could always make another Lorien Revealed as well if you don't want to have a land. But let's talk about the card that everyone is here to talk about, and that is Leyline Dowser. This card impressed me a lot. It basically felt like an Up the Beanstalk in a lot of ways. It was giving us a card most turns. And even when it wasn't giving us a card, it was stopping us drawing a bad card the next turn. I am a big fan of this card, and I'm about to go and buy some because I think this card is the real deal. The fact that it isn't drawing you a card, it's just milling you a card and putting it into your hand, means you don't have to worry about Bowmaster, unlike something along the lines of Up the Beanstalk. So this, in some ways, feels better, but you can't just like play this on 2 and have Force of Will. So it's not going to be doing the same sort of work. And it does require some deck building restrictions, a bit like Up the Beanstalk needs you to have your CMC 5 stuff. But the deck building restrictions here is just play the cards that just play a bunch of good cards. That's the deck building restriction, which is bananas. So I'm a big fan of this one. It did feel like we maybe could have done with a little bit more threats, because in that last game, if we just had some more threats to close the game with, we would have been all right. I'd be interested to see even something like a Leyline Dowser in some kind of Delver slot, perhaps, as a sideboard card for grinding away the mirror or whatever, because those matchups end up really, really grindy, and this just fuels your graveyard for Murktide and DRC, and then it draws you a bunch of cards, which you're going to have most of the stuff that flips it because of your Delver. So yeah, Leyline Dowser is a real legacy card that wasn't on my radar, but it is now. Sideboard-wise, I think we had reasonable tools. I don't think we're sort of going wrong with the things we have here. You could definitely tweak to your liking. I think maybe just having the lands in the deck, the 1 extra land, just to make it slightly more reliable might be the way forward. Because that's the one thing you don't want to get jammed up on, was the Wastelands. Really, but it did feel like we could just answer a bunch of stuff and win the game quite handily. We had this powerful card advantage engine. We were casting Lorien Revealed here and there. maybe another threat just so that we can actually close the game, or once we stabilize, instead of just sort of treading water trying to remove stuff, we need to actually put something down and play. So maybe we need another threat. All in all, I thought this deck was excellent. I thought the last Esper deck I played was also excellent, and if you're not expecting Esper decks in Legacy right now, I think you are putting yourself at a disadvantage. You need to know about this sort of shell of a deck. Whether or not it's running Leyline Dowsers doesn't necessarily matter, but Pest Control, bunch of white removal, your usual blue cantrips and stuff, and then like Triumphs and Murktides and cantrips. This is a very powerful suite of tools now, and Pest Control is the thing that's made this happen. Pest Control answers so many problems. So things like Urza Saga before could just like jam you up in a big way. Now we have a really clean answer to it. It's a bit like Dress Down. It can cycle instead as well, but it can also pick up all sorts of other things. So it is like killing Delver. Like I think we killed 3 creatures at one time with it against Delver, which is in a phenomenal rate. It just feels very, very strong. So definitely have it on your radar, and maybe go out and buy some Leyline Dowsers. Card seems pretty good. All right. That's me done for the day. We didn't quite go for 4 hours today, so I'm happy about that one at least. More like 3 1/4, which is still a long time for a league. But I hope you enjoyed this content, and I hope this video is as popular as the last Esper one, because you lovely people enjoyed that one a great deal. Okay, thank you so much for watching. Remember to like and subscribe, and goodbye. If you'd like to support me in the channel, please check out my Patreon. It has a free guide to budget turbo depths, as well as 3 tiers of support. A low-cost one that enters you into my monthly raffle for a free donation deck on the channel, a mid-tier subscription that gives you access to my detailed turbo depths guide that is updated every month, as well as regular articles, and lastly, the higher tier gives you all of the above, as well as a monthly donation deck for my channel. If you're interested in supporting the channel this way, please check out the link in the description.